An attempt is made through the use of explosives to shatter the ice near the ship. A large grapnel is next brought into use. The ship's engines go to work again in this new attempt at freedom. Shifting currents and winds combine again to give the ships their freedom, and a little more progress is made. But the early summer ice closes in again. Charting and sounding for water depths continues, with progress slow. The coastline lies within view, but it's too early for the ice to have moved offshore. The currents and winds have moved the ice once more, prodding it around and against us, and we're beset. The force exerted by an ice field is hard to believe. Last night, we were in an open lead. Today, that lead is closed beneath the ships, forcing them higher and higher from the water. In its frozen form, water can possess the power of a marine railway to lift a ship of even this size. Two of the ships have been moved against each other, giving one a bad list to starboard. At a time like this, a sailor is likely to do a little wishful thinking. Life was simple and pleasant a couple of months ago. A man could use a little of this life along about now. The Spar manages to free herself and moves in to aid the Bramble, breaking the ice as she comes. The Storis has freed herself again. The Storis leads us out of the ice pack toward open water, and we pass a young native about to take his daily bath. He decides no bath is worth it in water this cold. We are now satisfied that despite the ice conditions, the route is passable for the supply ships that are following. We are now free to mark the survey track with navigational buoys for the supply ships to come. Moving into Cambridge Bay, we continue to set our buoys to indicate a safe track for the MSTS ships. The buoys established here in previous years have been moved about by the action of the ice fields. We pause for a very important task, that of examining the ship's hulls for possible damage. Experienced crew members who are divers go below to give the hull and propellers a careful check. We go ashore at Cambridge Bay on August 6th, and our first liberty ashore in what has seemed a long time. Eskimo children, we should have brought along those Mexican hats for them. And what Coast Guardsman doesn't like dogs? The Navy's Hydrographic Survey Group can now begin work ashore, where reference points for soundings are to be set up. They take their sights and make their records to establish locations for the various aids to navigation we will set in this area. One of the ship's LCVPs lands parts of a radar reflector tower of lightweight but very strong material. Its parts are taken to the location determined by the Hydrographic Survey Group. The permafrost, frozen subsoil of the Arctic region, resists anything except drilling to provide holes for anchoring the various towers. Pre-planned construction permits towers to be assembled quickly and easily with simple tools. Such towers and other signals will serve as aids to navigation for future travelers, being visible during the day and discernible to shipboard radar at night. The STORIS guides some of the MSTS supply ships through a narrow channel, and then we push on toward the uncharted area between Shepherd Bay and Bellot Strait to attempt to establish the last link in the long-sought west-to-east route. Day after day, our journey continues, noting locations, identifying landmarks, islands, channels, establishing exact locations for the track, which, with the careful soundings being made for water depths, will permit this new route to be plotted on the charts. Sometimes shallow waters make us change our course, but we slowly move ahead. From Cape Perry, we have smashed our way through the ice of Amundsen Gulf, dropped our buoys, erected radar towers, sounded through Queen Maud Gulf and Simpson Strait, skirted the west coast of Boothia Peninsula, until we now approach the western entrance to Bellot Strait. For the first time, a complete route has been charted. The Canadian icebreaker HMCS Labrador, Captain Thomas C. Pullen commanding, awaits us at the western approaches to Bellot Strait, having already transited several times. The Labrador, the STORIS, the SPAR, and the Bramble nest at False Strait before making the passage through Bellot Strait. 3 Coast Guard cutters that have accomplished what they set out to do. The passage through Bellot Strait commences. It is September 6, 1957. With the Labrador and the STORIS leading, we make the turn into Bellot Strait. For the first time, a seagoing ship of the United States has crossed North America from west to east. The SPAR follows us through as we look astern from the Bramble, with the STORIS and the Labrador leading. Someone mentions the Northwest Passage and the 450 years through which men have searched for it. Radio men aboard our ships transmit the news to the world. The Northwest Passage for deep draft vessels is, in reality, a long, dangerous route through the ice fields of the Arctic, from Point Barrow through Bellot Strait. Navigation along this route across the North American continent will always be difficult, but an escape route to the east has been established. We pause at the eastern terminus of Bellot Strait after a safe transit. Near the eastern end of Bellot Strait lies an abandoned Hudson's Bay outpost, Fort Ross. The records of early explorers rest in a nearby rock cairn. The Bramble's Lieutenant Commander Carter, with the SPAR's Lieutenant Cowing, representing Commander Wood, present to HMCS Labrador's Captain Pullen our itinerary and sailing lists to be placed in the cairn. Our cutters head for Lancaster Sound and thence into Baffin Bay en route home. Having seen all of the ice we want to see for a long, long time, naturally we see some more now, and this berg is a big one. We encounter dozens of them, of all sizes and shapes. Keeping a close watch for them, we give them a wide berth. A month ago, we were beset in the ice without movement. Today, there is plenty of roll in the ship. Bellot Strait through Lancaster Sound and Baffin Bay en route to Boston. A suitable route to the east for supply ships crossing North America from the west when ice conditions prevent their return via Point Barrow. There she is, right where she should be, Boston. We didn't expect this welcome on September 24th, 1957, but it's mighty nice to have it. STORIS leads us in. The Spar has continued on to her home port, Bristol, Rhode Island. Lines go ashore. The jack is hoisted. The lines are hauled in. We are welcomed by Rear Admiral Edwin J. Rowland, Commander, 1st Coast Guard District, as we stand at ease on historic Constitution Wharf in Boston Harbor. Present also is Vice Admiral John M. Will, USN, Commander of the Military Sea Transportation Service. The Honorable David W. Kendall, Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, is also present. The Commandant of the Coast Guard, Vice Admiral Alfred C. Richmond, has come up from headquarters in Washington, D.C. The Canadian Consul General, the Honorable Alexander John Boudreau, offers his congratulations. At Bristol, Rhode Island, the cutter Spar is returning to her home port. The families and friends of her crew watch ashore as she ties up. One little old lady and her son eagerly await a crew member, for this is more than a ship's arrival. This is the homecoming for the men of this ship. A grandson comes home safely again from the sea. Among those who welcome the Spar and her crew is the senior United States Senator from Rhode Island, the Honorable Theodore F. Green. From his vantage point of 90 years, he gives them a well done. Rear Admiral Henry C. Perkins, United States Coast Guard, presents the Spar's captain, Lieutenant Charles V. Cowing, with the plaque commemorating the historic voyage. The Bramble is homeward bound now, back to Miami, Florida. A porthole gets cleaned. Flags fly, including the Bramble's Northwest Passage flag. Miami is there in the distance. We have circumnavigated the North American continent. Me, I hope soon to lose the permafrost from my bones in that warm Miami sunshine.
The first 3 deep-water ships to circumnavigate the North American continent in one season, from west to east. Bristol to Bristol, the Spar. Miami to Miami, the Bramble. Seattle to Seattle, the STORIS. Once again, the Coast Guard, in cooperation with the Navy, its Hydrographic Office and Military Sea Transportation Service, and with the Government of Canada, has participated in the making of history.